Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Parquet Courts record, Sunbathing Animal. This is the follow-up full-length album to the breakout LP Light Up Gold from Parquet Courts that came out a few years ago. These guys are a Brooklyn band fronted by Texas transplant Andrew Savage, a musical workhorse whose art I have been following for quite a while now through his other projects like Ferguson Geronimo, Teenage Cool Kids, different bands, different songs, different vibes. However, there is a strong slacker sentiment that runs deeply throughout many of Andrew's projects. The most gripping thing about this album is its attitude and its repetitive, ultra-simple songwriting style. Nearly every song on this LP revolves really redundantly around these basic punky grooves and riffs. And the vocals on top of these riffs vary from talking slash singing, really blurring the lines between talking and singing. Sometimes I can't quite tell which one Andrew is doing. When he's not doing that, he's delivering all of these really off-key yelps, or sometimes he's just shouting his vocals. The vocals, truth be told, are not that masterful on this record. The playing is a little loose. The energy is a little wild. The songs are a little memorable, and the whole thing is a little interesting. I like where the band is coming from for the most part, like on the song She's Rolling, which is this slow, plodding rock tune, fronted with these hypnotic, minimal lyrics, and the instrumentation on this track just grows noisier and more chaotic and more dissonant as it carries along with harmonica and distorted guitars. The whole thing feels like a touch of Velvet Underground worship. However, the band offers nothing in terms of interesting lyrics and legitimately exciting sonic chaos. Truth be told, this song is just tedious and kind of torturous. There's just not an interesting song or riff or lyrical idea at the root of this track, and even the faster, more interesting, more energetic, more visceral songs on this record suffer from the same issue, even though on the surface they may be more entertaining because they display a more explosive performance. Like the title track on here, and Black and White, tracks that are fast-paced, they're fiery. Instrumentally, they remind me of a combination of the minimal, very stripped-back, simple, and basic instrumentation of Wire combined with the goofy rock and roll swagger of the Modern Lovers. But again, is there an interesting song at the core of this very light and breezy ruckus? Not really. Even on the slightly more toned down tracks on this LP, like Oh Ramona, which to me breathes the slacker energy of a band like Camper Van Beethoven and maybe feels like a touch of solo Jonathan Richman as well. Even though I like the grimy guitars, the really mundane vocal delivery on this track, and the lack of wit or anything interesting to say in the lyrics really just kills this track for me. And I'm not just saying that it fails in comparison to the artist that it seems to pull from, but I don't even think this song lives up to previous projects I've heard Andrew Savage front, some of which have been gut-wrenchingly hilarious or sharply satirical. The closest I think Parquet Courts comes to an interesting lyrical verse on this record is the song Instant Disassembly. In terms of the pace of the song and in terms of the melody of the song, it's one of the sadder and more moody tracks on this LP, and it definitely captures that vibe. It definitely captures that emotional impact really well, but this track is just drawn out needlessly for 7 minutes, and I do not think Parquet Courts deliver 7 minutes of ideas over the course of this track. There are a lot of songs on this LP that I don't think start that well, and the ones that do, there's not enough significant development over the course of the song to keep things interesting. I feel like most of the tracks on this LP are just one little idea for a song or a verse or a part of a song that have somehow been stretched out to the length of a song. And all of these songs, which are spread incredibly thin, are stacked on top of one another for an album that is spread incredibly thin. Overall, I think this LP has a good foundation. I think Parquet Courts have a lot of attitude, just like they did on their last LP. I think there's a gritty tone to the guitars and the drums. I think these guys are endearingly lazy and enjoyably loose in their delivery, in their performance. But outside of the faster tracks on this LP, at least to me, this record does very little to hold interest. I'm gonna give this thing a light to decent 4. And a gold medal at the Slack Olympics. Transition, if you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Parquet Courts, forever.